Well, I am very grateful to all three of you for presenting metapsychiatry in such wonderful ways. Everything that you said is so. And perhaps we could start by Felicit's request, because we spoke enough about suffering. Let's try to clarify this strange land.
Let me see if you can hear without it.
Can you hear without it?
Yeah, you can hear it.
I hear better without it.
It's more comfortable not to have to hold the mic for the whole time.
The Buddhists have a concept of the pure land. Have you ever heard of the pure land of Amitabha Buddha? Now, looking at it through metapsychiatric eyes, it may very well be that what they mean, it is a state of consciousness which has achieved a level of purity where the ego doesn't throw any more monkey wrenches into our experiences in life. So it is very well possible that the Buddhist concept of the pure land is their way of speaking about the land of PAGL. Now, what is this land of PAGL? It is good to know the land of PAGL because it's not, if we don't know what it is, we might miss it when it comes about.
And you walk through it, and that's here.
Right. It's really a state of consciousness which is free of certain tendencies to think about evil and what is wrong and all the things which Claudette has recited to us. And we lose interest. You know, our interests are crucial. We have to be interested in what we have called previously spiritual blessedness. In the land of PAGL, everyone lives in a state of spiritual blessedness. What does that mean, spiritual blessedness? It is simply a situation where all things work together for good in surprising ways, inexplicable. Everyone is friendly, everything is in time, all the things which are needed appear. Is a conflict-free zone of experience. Because you know the principle that nothing comes into experience uninvited. If we have lost interest in self-confirmatory ideation and in the Four Horsemen, and we have learned to abandon interaction thinking, if we have learned not to ask any more of the sick, dumb questions, we find a certain change. The world has changed. Everybody has become happier and more friendly and efficient and effective, right? And effortless. And that is the pure land. We were called the land of PAGL, where consciousness is liberated from the various fantasies of hardships of life and difficulties and frictions and competitive ideation. All these things are washed away through the process of prayer and meditation, having learned to purify our consciousness. So, we become interested in living in the land of PAGL, where we are aware that a benevolent intelligence is evidently active in our lives, and things go well with us. Everything is peaceful and harmonious and very good. And the more interested we are in this kind of life, a mode of being in the world, the more we are going to see it, because we can only see what we are really interested in. I knew a man, he could only see pigtails everywhere. And I knew a lady who said, I'm strictly a crotch watcher. So as the Bible says, where a man's treasure lies, there shall his attention be also. And so in Metapsychiatry, we are learning of a mythical land called the Land of PAGL. And it is possible to be so wholeheartedly interested in it that we will actually live in this fool's paradise. Now, it is fool's paradise according to the thinking of unenlightened man, because nothing good can possibly be real, right? Because the world is a lousy place and you just have to muddle through. And anyone who happens to be happy and peaceful and loving and joyous and generous and beneficial and grateful must be living in fool's paradise. Now there are people who live in fool's paradise. These are called hypomanic people. Have you ever heard the term hypomanic? It is a mental disturbance. Now, how can we tell the difference between living in the land of PAGL or living in fool's paradise? Linda, can you say?
Probably the hypomanic person that doesn't have a smile on his face.
Oh yes, he smiles all the time.
Oh,
Right, yes.
By the fruit.
By the fruits? Like what, for instance?
If your life is peaceful and harmonious, and things happen without you manipulating them to happen.
Yes. The fool's paradise form of happiness is exciting, excited, restless, full of self-confirmatory ideation and activity and behavior, and it's continuously getting into conflict with other people. As a hypomanic, that's a fool's paradise. There is no harmony, there is no peace, there is no assurance, there is no gratitude, there is no love, there is just bragging and excitement and flight of ideas. There's a technical term in psychiatry describing the mental condition of an individual who lives in fool's paradise, the hypomanic, the flight of ideas. He cannot pay attention to anything. He just jumps from one thing to another. So if someone would accuse us of living in a fool's paradise, don't worry. because they don't know what they're talking about. And we know the difference between living in the land of PAGL or living in fool's paradise. Well, any questions? Yes.
In continuing to consider the phrase being here for God, would it be accurate to say that that's simply attending to your own consciousness?
Yes, yes, John, that's a very good idea to remind ourselves continuously about being here for God until such time that it becomes natural for us to live that way, because the world is constantly presenting us a different picture. That's not being of this world. Anyone who is here for God is not of this world. It doesn't make sense to be here for God. It sounds like religious nonsense. Yes, our culture and the world recommends you to look out for number one, right? Be here for yourself. So it can be an ongoing form of meditation, of reminding oneself, I am here for God. I am here for God.
What was the first priority?
It's a first priority. It will maintain you into that mode of being, provided you also remember what it means. You see? It must not become just a rote kind of superstitious mouthing of a formula. Whenever thought is turned toward being here for God, we also have to remind ourselves, what does it mean to be here for God?
I guess that was really my attempted question was, somehow in considering the counseling practice, it came to me that I had it mixed up, and it sounded kind of focused the idea that somehow my first priority must always be attending to I couldn't think of any other way to put it, attending to my own consciousness, and a counseling practice is another framework in which to learn myself. And somehow I'd always thought of it as being here for God was doing something for somebody else or helping them somehow. And so I was trying to, in the phrase being here for God, trying to translate that into keeping my own consciousness clear or something like that.
Any other questions, Roberta?
No, I just had a comment that often sometimes when I think I'm a female and I'm this age, and I remind myself that I call myself a PAGLite.
PAGLite.
The land of PAGL, and I'm not female and I'm not this age and I'm not this age. And it always silly comment.
Tim.
Tim, yes.
I'm interested in knowing more about the joy that comes from being in the land of PAGL as opposed to sensory excitement or good feelings that come from fool's paradise.
Yes. Yes.
What exactly is the difference?
Well, essentially, it is defined in the acronym of PAGL. Peace. When your idea of happiness, you see, is peace, assurance, gratitude, love, freedom, wisdom, joy, beauty, harmony, health. If you have this idea of happiness and health, you cherish the right idea. And whatever we cherish will either make us or break us. Now, if you would ask someone who has never studied metapsychiatry, what's your idea of happiness? What do you think would he say?
People like to say.
Feeling good.
Feeling good. What else?
Good food, good sex.
Good food, good sex, right?
Well,
Money, wealth, fame. all very exciting things, right? Essentially, the assumption is that excitement is happiness. That's the natural natural assumption that happiness can be found in some form of excitement. Yes?
You could say, Dr. Hora, then the difference between looking for the outside world, provided is a transition of realizing that it's within yourself and you're carrying it with you. So that PAGL is a state of your being that really has nothing to do with senses until they come into contact with that state of being.
Yes, of course you can say that, but there is more to that, because somebody might say, well, why isn't it coming to me from inside? Why am I just looking on the outside? And if I am looking on the inside, there's nothing. I don't know, I don't feel anything, right? I'm not happy. So you have to know what an existentially valid condition of happiness really is. If you don't know it, you will never discover it.
Could you define the difference between your definition of knowing and intellectualizing or conceptualizing?
Yes. Well, suppose you want to go to San Diego. You have to know there is a San Diego, and you have to know that there is a Highway 401 or 405. And after you have studied it on the map and you have seen and you were told, then you may actually discover that it is so. And similarly, happiness, we have to be informed about it first. We have to hear about it. We have to hear the word of the Lord before it becomes a reality. It cannot happen just out of nothing.
So that you're connecting knowledge to the level of the intellect.
First comes information. Then comes knowledge of the information. Then comes interest in this, realizing this knowledge. Then comes the love of this knowledge, the yearning to find out that it is really so. This is a process of discovery and realization. When we pray, when we meditate, when we study, certainly the intellect is a transitional process. It's like learning to play the piano. First you have to learn to play the piano, and then you will make music, right? Suddenly music will become meaningful to you. And similarly, we have to hear that there is a land of PAGL, an invisible land of PAGL. We study about it, we hear about it, we contemplate it, we pray about it, we meditate it, we look for it everywhere, and then we find it.
Because that's what you mentioned at the beginning when you said, when you were talking about we need to know what it is so we don't miss it.
That's right. That's right. Sure. Sure. We say that, we are interested in transformation rather than just information, right? But information is necessary. Without it, transformation couldn't possibly come. Yes, Christy?
Oh, Dr. Hora, I had an experience this week that was very much what Linda described. It's a real earthquake. It was shaking off. And in the process of discovering some of the things that I had been holding on to and trying to control my life and a number of situations in this experience, for which I'm really grateful now, it occurred to me that in the times of darkness, we really can glow in the dark. The mere idea of glowing in the dark became very very important to me in the last couple of days. And I wondered if you might be able to expand on that idea.
Well, the meditation of glowing is a very difficult meditation, because how can you smile when you are down, when things go bad? But on the other hand, it's a very powerful and effective meditation, because it puts you to the test of where your real interest lies. You see? Are you interested in being miserable? Are you interested in feeling sorry for yourself? Are you interested in personal vindication? Right? Are you interested in interaction? Are you interested to glow for God? When we meditate and commit ourselves to being here for God and to glow for God, we have to sort of turn ourselves inside out. It is an act of commitment, and sometimes it's pretty hard. You ask a depressed individual to glow for God. Are you crazy? But nevertheless, if there is this commitment to turn away from everything that is negative and evil and self-confirmatory and vindictive, and say nothing is important than being here for God wholeheartedly, you start glowing and all your troubles disappear, because they were never really there. It's just the interest is shifted. It's a radical shift of interest from solving problems to having no problems to solve. Yeah.
What happened was that I got fired. After my struggle to get a job, the conference took about 3 days, and I made a goof, and I was dismissed.
Yeah.
And it really, with the earthquake, it really took me out.
Yes, yes, yes.
And emptied out a great deal of stuff that had still been lurking around. And I needed to
Right,
see more
right,
clearly.
right.
And the idea of glowing in the dark came to me after I saw Sion the day that this happened, which was Wednesday.
Yes.
And Thursday I waited for an interview, and I was offered a job yesterday.
You see?
I'm not taking it, but the idea.
Fair enough. No way to keep up with it.
Thought that maybe there would be more that might get avoided.
Well, you just learn to glow more, and the sky is the limit, and not limit. The possibility is unlimited, right? Right.
Chuck,
Yes, Chuck.
a lot of that seem to glow in a form of ecstasy seem not to be grounded. Like, there seems to be, they seem just to go out and float, and they have a difficult time. What is the meaning of that type of?
Well, maybe that is alcoholic glow. It's not spiritual, it's spirit. You could. It's one of the various forms of fool's paradise. Yeah. Yes.
Is glowing focusing on omni-action? Is it expanding on that concept? Are they connected?
Omni-active love intelligence. Yes. That could help you to glow. If you realize that God is omni-active love intelligence, and that is the only power, and there is no other power, and you are part of it, and it blesses you, and you are it, you're in it, and you can glow, and everything starts working together for good. And that's spiritual blessedness, and you are back in the land of PAGL. Yes, we have to be careful about the qualities of our thoughts, consciousness, maintain the purity of consciousness, refuse fantasizing, refuse to watch depraved television shows. What? It's just contaminating the consciousness. There are so many influences around us constantly attracting our attention to invalid ideas, invalid imagery, invalid motivations, and false promises of happiness, which are not happiness, but excitement and sensual. And if you know all these various modalities of suffering, which we spoke about, you will know that this is not the way to go, and you guard your consciousness, and you will live in the land of PAGL. Nothing could be better than that. There's nowhere you can find anything that is more valid or more satisfying than living in the land of PAGL. No, not many people know about it, right? It's an invisible land. It's not on the map. But nevertheless, one can live there. Yes?
We all have a certain idea of what we need in life that doesn't necessarily include God, that we've had for a long time, for years. It has to do with our nature, what we are ourselves, and where we should be in life. And these ideas seem very important to us, very important, and very difficult to even see the intelligence sometimes to let go. What's a good idea? Seems to be a good idea.
It feels good, right?
I have one that thinks I would like to have children. I don't see anything in the near future that would happen, but I know that since I was the smallest child, I've always wanted to have children. I never wanted to do anything else in life. And some people have always wanted to have money, and some people have always wanted to have a high career.
Yes.
But these things seem to be real good. And is it correct? My question is it correct to say that to the degree that we refuse to let go of those, we refuse to acknowledge that God knows better about our lives?
Sure. You want something.
Sure. You don't tell me that.
It seems so natural to want.
Sometimes it even seems radical.
Right. In the Bible, there are many instances where people wanted something and they got it.
And the parable about the talent, would you explain what it means to express talent?
Yeah. Well, what is our greatest talent?
Being here for God.
We have the talent of spiritual consciousness. We have the talent of spiritual discernment. It's a great gift of God that we are able to tell the difference between spiritual values and carnal values, between existentially valid values and invalid values. These are our talents. And we are charged with the task of cultivating these talents and multiplying them. And if we neglect them, like the man who buried his talent on the ground, then he had nothing. And then the Bible says, him that God gives, right? I don't understand that. In Texas, they read the Bible. It's him that God gives. This isn't Texas. Yes, here we have to use the Elizabethan formulation says, "To him that hath, more shall be given, and from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath." If we have a great deal of understanding and interest in spiritual values, spiritual qualities, spiritual good, spiritual reality, more and more shall be given to us. If we neglect it, if we are not really interested much, or just a little bit, right? So we'll get less and less. And we neglect this talent. This is our talent. This is a God-given faculty, ability. We can appreciate spiritual values, ideas, and spiritual life. I read in a book yesterday about a man who wanted to have a son very much.
What's his name?
I found that he wasn't home because he was in prison, this man. And what happened, he inquired in the village, what happened that the son of this Nasruddin got drunk one day and killed the man and ran away from home. So they put the father in prison. And that was the finish of getting what you want. You see? So be careful about it. You can say, like Mary said, according to thy will be it done unto me. My soul doth magnify the Lord. If it is right for you to have a child, you will have. And if not, that will not determine your fulfillment or happiness. The real issues are to be found in consciousness, not in the genitourinary system. Yes, Phil?
Or I built a business on desires that I wanted and self-confirmatory type things. And, at any rate, the business wound up being, hurting a lot of people. And now I'm turning towards spiritual things, trying to understand more things. First, out of just desperation, and then to see the result in the business, to try to get fixed, to look back to see how the business is getting fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been blessed with moments of peace and the qualities of spiritual things, but the business isn't so good.
Mm.
And what is the relationship between the consciousness of peace and the physical experience of good?
Mm. Very much depends on our concepts. For in case of business, you have to spiritualize the concept of your business. Everything in the world has a spiritual meaning. Now, to many people, business is just a way to make a killing, right? And get rich and exercise power and show the folks how well I'm doing, right? Driving an expensive car and being a businessman. It is considered a clever thing. wanting to be clever and successful in business. What the spiritual, you see, now that kind of approach to business will be an unhappy one, even if financially it may prosper. So it is very important, whatever we do, when we are trying to buy something or do something or be active in some area, it is a good idea to ask yourself, is there a spiritual concept which would make this project valid, existentially valid? So we can ask, what is a spiritual concept of business? What is business from the standpoint of spiritual values? Is it possible to be a businessman and still remain in the land of PAGL and prosper? Or is it just a dog-eat-dog situation? You heard that rivalry is a malicious way of competition, competing with other businessmen in a malicious way. So, Bill, what would it be? What would a spiritual concept of business be?
Spiritual concept.
I have a feeling it might have to do with this product.
With your product? Well, it might have if
It has to do with you if the purpose is for the good of God.
well, what business is God in?
Like fun.
Doesn't the business become an expression of the consciousness of the businessman?
Exactly.
And
Right.
If the motives of the businessman are to manifest
God
God
and
and
spiritual values
qualities,
and provide a service in accordance with being a beneficial presence in the world, that business will be a spiritualized business, and it will prosper in God's way rather than the way of the world. Yeah? Yes?
How does one know that the business provides a service?
Well, you just heard it. It is, what's your name?
Yeah.
John has explained to you. If the individual who owns the business is committed to being here for God and cherishes spiritual values and expresses these values in his activities in the business, that he has a spiritualized concept of business, that business will prosper in God's way, not the way we want it, but it may be much better than if we wanted it. Yeah.
Couldn't you subject it to the same thing where we talk about by our fruits we are known, and you could look at your business and say, is it life enhancing? And you could, if you judge by the same criteria, we judge the fruits in our own life.
Sure.
It would be health promoting, life enhancing, it would be beneficial.
Yes.
Perhaps if it's needed, it will have customers and make money.
Undoubtedly. Yes.
So a business that would just be prosperous would not necessarily.
Not necessarily. No.
No.
Yeah.
Isn't it very also true then that a business that doesn't prosper, could that also have a spiritual quality?
No, nothing that is spiritual will not prosper. If a business doesn't prosper, then we need to make an appointment with Yanni. and gain a clearer perspective of our ways of functioning in that business.
But that's not a cause and effect.
No, it's a meaning. A meaning.
The manifestation.
Yes, right.
The lack of prosperity is the manifestation of an ignorant thought or an invalid value.
Yes.
Yes, too.
When it's going through the transition of where it seems to be shedding a lot of the things that were wrong,
Yeah.
what's the criterion to know when to quit?
When to quit what? The business or?
And when it's not prospering?
No. Well, quitting is not the issue. Transforming our values is the issue. Consciousness, right, is the issue. If we are in the wrong place, in the wrong business, and if we are sincerely committing ourselves to being here for God, then we will be lifted out of that situation and led into something more appropriate for the stage of our development. We are moving from good to better. On the spiritual path, we are always moving from good to better. If we are not moving, we need to reassess our outlook on life. So that's a law, Christy, from good to better. Yes.
Dr. Hora, I have a question about feeling guilty. There's times when we make mistakes, and we say something that we regret, or we recognize that we've been involved in a malicious or jealous level of thinking.
Yes.
A lot of times, instead of sincerely recognizing that I've made a mistake, regretting that, and having faith that the asking God to heal that problem, or asking God to heal that mistake will, in fact, heal the whole situation.
Right.
I get involved with feeling guilty about it.
Yes.
And think, is guilt a thought about what we should or shouldn't have done, or bragging, or...
Who knows what guilt is? Say it loud, Tammy. Could you explain that?
It's more of negative bragging. It's when you take the credit for the error instead of putting the blame on ignorance.
Right. Did you get that? It's a self-confirmatory idea. I am bad. I am bad. God never made a bad person. You can only say, I'm ignorant. Or if you want to put it stronger, I'm stupid. But not guilty. Nobody is guilty. And it's very interesting to observe that people are much more ready to accept guilt than ignorance. Seldom do you hear someone say, oh, I was so ignorant. They say, I am guilty of having done this and that. People would rather feel guilty than admit to ignorance. Yes?
Along with your thought, is that often, even 20 years in the past, it's dumb to have knocked that glass off that table. And I want to go back somehow and make it all right.
Yes.
Is there any kind of
20 years ago?
It isn't 20 yet. Yeah, well, that's a good, interesting question. Many people believe of restitution. You go back and fix it, what you've done. But then, you see, if you do that, or for instance, even apologizing can be a complicated process, because you say, I am guilty and I did something bad and I can make it right. Again, you are caught up in the self-confirmatory mode of reasoning. If you are sincere about seeking to be healed and regenerated, then we have the 3 R's of metapsychiatry. What are they?
Regret.
Recognition, regret, and reorientation. Yes, reformation is also good. But reorientation, when you sincerely reorient yourself towards God, then God will repair the damage which happened. You won't have to do it. Because the more you try to repair your own damage, the more you say, I've done it this way and I'll do it that way. And God is out of the picture. So the issue is sincere reorientation, and God will repair whatever needs to be repaired. Yeah.
We were talking about businesses, and I just thought about my job. I just got a job at Hughes Aircraft, a big company, and I'm really grateful for the position. And but it occurred to me, like, there's 12,000 people there. I'm in one little office somewhere, and I feel that I can be a beneficial presence in my one little office. But my question is, the company works for defense, and they make, rockets, radar, all these things for fighting. And I wonder, do you need to look at what type of business the company you work for is in, or can you, within your own little square, be a beneficial presence, and can it be a valid job?
What do you think?
Every form of business needs a beneficial presence.
Oh, the company will fold. People will be out of work.
If there were so many, at least half as many beneficial presences as fighters for justice, this would be, the whole world would be healed. That is a much more effective and powerful way to heal the problems of the world than by yelling and screaming and political action or something like that. They're not very effective. There's a lot of self-confirmation involved in it.
Well, I had this question. When you say defense, it reminds me of the news. And I sort of avoid watching the news because when I watch it, it makes me feel like there's nothing that I can do about it anyway.
Right.
And makes me feel helpless. But why does one still so helpless?
You want to do something.
And there's nothing that seems that can be done.
Oh, yes. There's a great deal that can be done. How can we do that which cannot be done?
Non-verbally.
Through prayer and meditation and bringing God into the picture. This sense of frustration that what can an individual do? This is an invalid question. Do you know the 6 dumb question? What can I do? We are an individual unit of spiritual awareness. And God gave us a special power. This power is to turn our attention in the direction of spiritual reality. And anyone who confronts the world situation with that power, which is called dominion, God gave man dominion, by exercising our dominion of turning our attention from doing to knowing. That's the greatest thing you can do for everyone. Prayer is the ultimate and most secret weapon.
And Andy,
Yes, Andy.
Dr. Hora, can you clarify the metapsychiatrical viewpoint on judging and not judging, the alternative, judging and not judging?
It's a good question. Well, judging is a serious problem. Whenever we have secret thoughts of criticism of people, we are going to run into all sorts of difficulties. Maybe you have already discovered that. Yeah? Because our secret thoughts are not really secret. They communicate themselves through subliminal channels. And people are uncomfortable in our presence if we judge them. Now, if you are a good fellow and religiously inclined, and you read the Bible, and it says, judge not that ye be not judged, then what will happen? You will try not to judge. We will say, I'm not going to think of him as a lousy guy. You see, you're still judging. As to judge or to not judge is the same. So the religious admonition is not adequate to solve this problem. Now the question is, so we are caught up in this dualism, to judge and to not judge. What else is there? What's the mothers to do? What is the alternative? That's what you really would like to know. What is the alternative to judging and not judging? Compassion, blessing, secretly, silently, in consciousness, blessing instead of judging. And that's compassion. Right?
So where we started, we see the expression of the ignorant thought, the invalid thought. So when we bless, we're not blessing the invalid, we're blessing what is there.
Right.
And visible.
Right. Very good.
So I know you just found at work the director has revealed at several meetings that he's a tyrannical person, and I never think that we working with like a person. And
You're trying not to judge him.
I'm trying not to judge him.
I can see that.
I'm working on when I see him, I think of him as a being that this is a good opportunity to learn.
So at least that's why I think Iron.
How can I move from judging?
Well, perhaps it would help to ask ourselves, what is the meaning of the universal tendency to judge? Right? Who's thinking? Right. Who said that? You said that. It is saying, I'm better than he is. All right? That's all. And if we bless, what are we saying?
God is better than both of us.
Everyone and everything is here for God, right? Yes.
Business, because I'm sort of getting involved in
business, but they're not all, spiritually minded.
That's what I think I am, but
You just say it.
They, would pursue business after the world, way of doing it.
Yes, right.
We know that there's a way.
and I was thinking as we were talking about that no matter what business we're in, whether we're in therapy or in quote business, the thought came to me that if we speak or if I speak in mind, because my question is that I need amongst them to keep this outlook. I hear about my father's business
Yes,
versus a business
right,
or a therapy business or what my senses are or what my
right,
apartment doing.
right.
And I kind of learned that a little bit through my apartment building that again, and I've discussed it so many times, but that really is not my operation, it's my father's business. So here comes another opportunity on a larger scale that I have not really went out and tried to put together. It just seems to be coming my way with a real professional expert in the medical field, which is sort of my knowledge of my profession at this point. And my one not concern, I guess, is that I have to keep reminded in the midst of this that I'm not there, for worldly business in the sense of prosperity, although that may happen, but that I'm about my father's business, which is always the effectiveness of the power that would be behind it without saying, without having to use the labels of anything, whether I'm...
Right. Preaching non-verbally.
Yeah.
Right.
So that position or whatever that position, but that's just something that I keep in mind in the midst of this.
That's right.
Where that
Sure.
not
Sure.
judging it, whether I should be in the midst of people that are not spiritual or anything, but just keeping that in mind that I'm there about my father's business.
Right. The Bible says, as man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How can we think in the heart? Yes, whatever values we cherish, whatever thoughts we entertain, with interest and love and gratitude, that's the kind of individual presence we are. And then you are, after your father's business, even in the real estate business or whatever, any kind, yeah, except smuggling cocaine.
David?
Yeah, yeah.
You're not sure what that really means. Is it very good to have to try and build up a perception of what it means?
Or you ask somebody who knows. Well, you have to ask someone to clarify to you what does it mean. What does this phrase mean? We don't believe in repeating just words, Jesus warned against us. If thou prayest, use not vain repetition, as the heathen do. For they think they shall be heard for their much speaking. So we don't use vain repetitions when we make an affirmation. We also consider the meaning of the actual meaning and the relevancy of that affirmation. So what does it mean when we say, I am here for God? Anybody would like to explain it? Practical term? Yes, John?
Is it holding in consciousness the awareness of spiritual values in any situation?
Well, first of all, I am here to be a beneficial presence. I'm here to manifest the qualities of God, which are love, intelligence. Right? You behold yourself as a certain presence around which all things tend to work together for good. You can become a focal point of harmony and peace and healing in the midst of turmoil. and you keep this idea in your thought that that's what God wants you to be. And if you love it, you will be it. And the result will be according.
There's never been a sense of being still if you're in the middle of something to refuse to. It's becoming,
Yeah, being still is good enough, is good, but that's just one step towards understanding the quality of your stillness. You see, there is a difference between keeping quiet and being still. What's the difference?
One way you feel for God.
Yeah,
Yeah, and being quiet and busy with ministry.
keeping quiet. When you keep quiet, you're really uptight, right? Because you're doing it. But when you are still, then you're not doing it, you are it. You're in a consciousness of the presence of a benevolent intelligence being in charge of your life under all circumstances. Yes.
Right. We have come to the end of our time. I would like to take a moment to thank you for your being with us. I couldn't begin to count the blessings that are occurring here when you come. And it is always a time of tremendous growth, and new ideas are being expressed, and the telephone is overflowing here with people expressing interest in coming. It is a truly memorable time when you come to California, and we are very appreciative that you want to spend this much time with us and be so generous in giving your wisdom and time with everybody and anybody, and is so available to us. And we would like to have you know that you are welcome at any time.